Welcome in, everyone. It is the twif crew here with you again to bring you another exciting episode of ADP Movers. I am Turner Niley, here with the foghorn himself. Hey, no. We're already two cocktails deep and ready to talk about movers here.
Yeah, I'm excited about this episode. Very, very excited.
Could rhyme with very too. So, hey, it's fucking August 1st here, man. It is like fantasy draft season. One of my favorite times of the year. It's adult Christmas, as we like to call it. Yeah.
It's the most wonderful time of the year. Yes.
I mean, now it's game on. Like, you know, going through June and July, there's some research. There's almost a need to make up news at some point when it comes to fantasy. But now we've got people jumping into more drafts. Less, you know, we've got the DGen crew that's been here throughout the offseason. But now we're getting in season. Now you're going to get your home leads into the mocks. We're going to see some ADP moves now as more people get interested in fantasy football now. So I am pumped. We're going to work to bring this to you every week now because we're in that throes of draft season, and be on the lookout too for our one-hit wonder, Just Cram It, where we bring you all the top off-season news for you in one great episode.
Favorite 80s team song.
Yeah.
And if you don't know, you better go find out.
Yeah, search it on YouTube. It is.
Yep, it's
something. It's something. So before we get into ADP news, because I'm not going to plan to cover this dude next week because I'll be at the top of the charts, but obviously your favorite team, the 49ers, are losing Ricky Pearsall for the season. So he's basically going to be on your do not draft list. So watch out. Anyone auto drafting in best ball, be on the lookout for Ricky Pearsall being added to your team.
Got only 3 more touchdowns than Ricky from Boys in the Hood.
Yeah, no shit. And then the counter to that is Deebo Samuel is back. So Foghorn, your take.
Oh, my boyfriend's back and I'm gonna hey now, Deebo's back. I'm super excited about having Deebo. Reports are that he is been working out a ton. Funny enough, he just opened a club here in Phoenix, in Scottsdale, just a week ago. Yeah. So he got called back. The contract is totally, team friendly.
Yeah.
Max he can make is $7 million. And he's projected to essentially be right now the wide receiver too. So for that team, and we know what Deebo does. Again, I love Deebo Samuel. I think he brings a dynamic to the offense, and you always have to account for him. I think the Niners offense just got better with him, but I also am a homer. So take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. Take it all with the biggest grain of salt possible. But yeah, I was speaking with David Krupski in our Best Ball Mania the other day, and that news with Deebo just broke. I was already at 50% exposure with him. I had been a believer that he's going to sign somewhere, and he was pretty good last year with Washington when he wasn't hurt. And so, that's his Achilles heel is his Achilles heel, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess not yet. Maybe that's this year, but he always gets hurt, right? Like he plays very hard. And when he plays a full season, kind of like McCaffrey, usually going to get something good out of it. And when he gets dinged up, he's not returning value. But I mean, right now his ADP is depressed, and I guarantee I won't go on too much on Deebo because I'm sure we're going to cover him in the coming weeks because he's going to be shooting up boards here now with not only the signing but with Pearsall being out of the way.
Sure, and I think it's a good segue to the first guy we're going to talk about, right? In our list, Terry McLaurin. I think this, Terry's been moving up the boards. He's definitely a 4th round guy, as you can see. There's a lot of folks, Yahoo Fantasy is projecting him as a top 20 guy. He's going to be 50. They're saying 55th overall. They have him as the 38th overall player at wide receiver 20. And he is a top 20 to top 15 in terms of true opportunity. I think that opportunity goes up without Deebo. As long as Washington doesn't turn around and sign psychopath, another 49er, they have no number two. I mean, I don't really see that. We talked about that before. Their number two is maybe Chig, right? At the tight end. And, Rashad White, obviously we talked about that last time around coming out of the backfield. So I think he's going to get a boatload of targets if Jayden Daniels stays healthy, right? So he is in that group of the Christian Watson, Terry McLaurin, Jameson Williams, Rome, Adunze, Mike Evans types, right? And I completely agree with this, as they're saying also as well. He's at the top of that list, I think, of those guys who are kind of, boom or bust guys, right? And I think he's a great pick in the 4th round. I could see him moving into the 3rd round for some guys, a little bit. I'm not using my 3rd round pick on him, but if he's there at the turn, say, mid 4th round, I'm jumping on him for sure.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah. Thanks, Abe. Yeah. I was not looking at Terry a lot at the beginning of the DGen season here. When you talk about post NFL draft and you're thirsty to draft people and you get into your best ball. And I kind of passed just because he's been injury, just never seems to get over the hump. Obviously, he had his career year with Jayden Daniels, right? And you can't ignore that. It was propped up with a lot of touchdowns, but I think the points you make are the ones that matter the most, which is, do you think Jayden Daniels is awesome? I think so.
So do I.
And if we can't project that he's going to get hurt yet, but he's going to play the full season. And you've got Terry McLaurin as literally it. So to your other point, unless they sign Steph Diggs, then maybe it doesn't pay out. I mean, he probably can still pay out on a 4th round value, but maybe you don't have the upside that you were looking at, like that 3rd round and above, or even a top 12 finish. Because Steph Diggs still has something, when he's not being a knucklehead. And then, with the new offense, you got David Blouse, you kind of got that niceness. So for me, I think he's someone I've now been starting to take more and more. To your point, in the 4th round, he's worth a shot. Obviously in ESPN, it's or even Yahoo where he's lower.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a no-brainer, as your wide receiver 2, or even lower. So that's, to me,
but if you get roster construction of where he is, let's say you just went running back heavy right at the beginning, and let's say you got Josh Allen and you got 2 running backs. Okay, if you got and you need a wide receiver to start a wide receiver 1 spot out of those Christian Watson, Jameson Williams, those guys, I'm taking him right at that position, and I think he's got the most upside of those guys for sure.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. I have him in my own rankings higher than all those guys. He's fighting Zay Flowers, and he's between Flowers and Egbuka for me. So I'm with you. I might even take him over Flowers these days. He's I like him. The hype thing for me that this is gets you kind of perked up is when the coach says they want to get him 10 targets a game. That's another thing. That,
I heard that. Yeah, that's pretty funny.
So that to me is pretty sweet. All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on and let's cover our first quarterback here in Bo Nix. And let me apologize in advance. I feel like in this episode, I'm based out of Denver. I'm a guy from New York, though, originally. So I am not biased to Denver players. I think we got 3 on the list today. It just fell that way. Bo Nix, to me, as I've been again going through the draft season, excuse me, he's someone I definitely didn't have a lot of faith in per se, as far as being a great quarterback, but he is coming in at a pretty steep value here across the board. Obviously ESPN now, and the reason why he made this list is because he's jumped up the board significantly in ESPN drafts while making slight moves in Yahoo and Underdog. And I think we're going to see this change as people start to get in here. And I think the things to call out here from the fantasy headliners, one, he had that injury at the end of the year. Obviously, he missed the playoff game that they lost to the Patriots. And so he looks to be healthy. So that's kind of check mark one. And then, the thing against him has been, because this is where people are like, okay, I don't feel great. He's been one of the worst throwers in the NFL, passes 30 more air yards down the field. Now, what's quoted here from Fantasy Football Today later on is they've got Jaylen Waddle, right? And so now here's someone who can get down the field. Cortland Sutton really isn't a down the field guy to me. He's a red zone threat. And, Troy Franklin is what he is, but he's not Jaylen Waddle, right? The RotoWire guys, they're in on Bo Nix as well. It's just the rate of, the amount of passing that, the dropbacks that he gets in Sean Payton's offense, and the fact that he's finished as a QB1 in each of the last 2 years, and his cost is well behind that. To me, that screams like a value. If he is healthy, why can't this guy finish QB1 again with a better wide receiving crew in another year, getting older and maturing in this offense? So, Abe, I'll kick it over to you.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like that offense, now they have Waddle. I mean, it's, you need the guy to take the top off the defense, right? And Waddle's that guy, right? And all these quarterbacks in the NFL can, launch it, right? They can throw it 60 yards down the field. And they never had that before. So, okay, plus the guy is mobile. He does all the things that, he's going to run around.
Yeah, he's good for 300 yards at least,
Yeah. So I think it is. I completely agree with you. I think he has got a ton of value here, and he should be shooting up the boards more and more. But yeah, nothing to say that you haven't already hit on there. I think it's a good segue to obviously talk about your next guy, which is Waddle himself.
Yep. All right, let's get into Jaylen himself here. And let's talk about Jaylen Waddle, who has been heating up the vibes train here recently with lifts here, the bigger lift in Yahoo, but obviously ESPN in an Underdog as well, moving up at least a spot in those last two. He is in the late fourth round in ESPN. What does that take us into, the sixth round? Or no, the fifth round. Yeah. And so to me, that fifth round seems like a freaking steal. Fourth round, especially late fourth round, I'm in, especially if I need a wide receiver one. In the fantasy headliners, they're big on him as Waddle. I love this. They've got him as their, big dong upside player. So, I love this quote, but they picked him as a league winner. And he's someone I've drafted more. Happy to get him as my wide receiver too. Again, if I'm going heavy on the onesie position in the first 4 rounds, he's someone I feel good about even getting as my wide receiver one. Because I had the positional advantage. The other one here from the Late Round Fantasy Podcast, this is the one that everyone gets thirsty over and starts creaming their pants on. Is he the Joker? Oh
my God.
So there's talk of Jaylen Waddle playing the Joker role. Hoping that works out better than Evan Ingram and these other Jokers who've been assigned the Joker role.
So many Jokers. The best Joker in Denver is still Jokic. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. But yeah, so supposedly he's being moved around the field. So he's not just, that X receiver like he had to be in Miami. He's going to be moved around a lot. And I think that's fantastic. Cortland Sutton's your X. And so have him be the Z and move all over the field and soak up targets in any way, shape, or form.
So let me ask you this. I mean, this is a question for you, Turner.
Yeah.
Are you taking him, going back to Terry that we were talking at the beginning here, are you taking him over McLaurin at that position in the 4th round? Are you, they're both available. They're both sitting there ready for you to grab. Are you going to take him over? You feel the upsides? I mean, I think the upside is obviously more because he's got that big playability, right? I mean, he can take it to the
younger,
house,
right?
And
like,
younger, yeah.
I think so. Right now, I still have Terry 4 or 5, like 5 spots higher than Jaylen Waddle when it comes to wide receiver rankings. Okay. I probably have Waddle too low. I have him closer to the ESPN ranking than I do the others. And so, like, without Washington signing someone else, I'm probably more Terry McLaurin just because he's the only gig in town. And I do like Jaden Daniels. I think Jaden Daniels is a better quarterback than Bo Nix. And I think we mentioned this in the last episode. I think you talked about this. Game script wise, Washington's not a good team, right? It has a worse defense. Yeah. And so they could have to sling it a lot more than Denver may have to do with a much more dominant defense.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm agreeing with you there. But if someone scoops up Terry and I need to get a wide receiver right after, I mean, yeah, I agree with you with Waddle.
Yep. Okay. Let's move on then to number 3. And this is Dr. Jones. Dr. Jones. Indiana Jones himself is back. We're crossing the line. But yes, Indiana Jones is back supposedly. So this first one here from Fantasy Pros, quoting the Pat McAfee show. We're triple meta here, but supposedly he's medically cleared from his Achilles injury and is going to take part in aspects of training camp. Okay, first thing I got to say is, is it hopium? Like all these people are coming back from Achilles like it's nothing anymore. So I guess I'm kind of like, I'm leaning a little bit where like maybe people can come back faster than Achilles, but at the same time, it's effectiveness. Like what is the effectiveness of this player now? Because I still haven't seen someone when they come back from Achilles play as great as they did before. Like, and again, these are older players, but you've seen like the Kirk Cousins and Aaron Rodgers come back and neither of them look good early. They did look better as the season went on. I don't know if Kirk particularly did, and they both seem to have lost zip. So, that's kind of number 1 here. And then the other quote that I pulled here with why, Jones is looking like he's going to start to rise up the charts more. He took a leap in ESPN. Yahoo's below the 170 threshold already. So we'll probably start to see him come up. Underdog, I'm sure we're going to start to see him come up this coming week where ESPN's already kind of biting the change. But, this quote by Fantasy Football Today, Daniel Jones was a top 8 quarterback last season if you take out his injury game, and slightly better than Dak Prescott. So you're talking about a guy who really performed. I think the flip side of that is kind of where I was going with the previous point, which is how effective is he going to be? He did a lot with his legs and primarily getting into the end zone that I don't think is going to be there with coming back from Achilles. I don't think they're going to make him slam it in, at the goal line anymore. Maybe that. Sorry.
What?
Yeah. But I think the opposite or the counterpoint for that, or the little tidbit I wanted to share, like, not talking about Daniel Jones specifically, but the beneficiary of Daniel Jones not getting that run into the end zone could be Tyler Warren. Like he got goal line usage at Penn State. He could be someone that comes, they sub in as a Wildcat now because they're concerned with Daniel Jones. But that being said, I'm a little bit more intrigued for Daniel Jones, again, more as a 2 QB in Superflex, or maybe I waited so long and I quarterback and even in my home leagues, I need to grab 2 just in case. And so he could be a second that could be worth a grab based on his performance last year and the fact that he's healthy. I'll kick it over to you.
I'm fine with him being a QB too, but I am not a believer in Daniel Jones. Yeah. He is still Daniel Jones, right? Like, okay, sometimes the the sun shines on a dog's ass, right? Like, this is the guy which when we were all, starving for football during COVID and nobody was in the stadium, runs it 70 yards and then the turf monster got him, right? Which is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And my 7-year-old daughter at the time goes, "What just happened?" And I go, "The turf monster." And she was like, "There's a turf monster?" Yeah. I'm like, "Yep, totally got him." So look, I'm not a believer. I streamed him in our home league last year, a couple of games. It was fine, right? I had him. It is what it is. I'm fine with you having him as a QB2. Super flex, right? If you're doing a super flex league, I think he's a great QB2 for a super flex league. But other than that, we can name 12 guys that are better than him that you're going to draft before him. And again, I as you said so eloquently before, slamming it in the end zone, right? I was reading reports about that, like the Tyler Warren thing, Wildcat. I mean, you still have top 3 running back. His name is Jonathan Taylor. You're 3 yards out. I'm like literally turning around and handing the ball to Jonathan Taylor 3 times in a row. So, I think it's, him moving up and people, I don't know. I think it's home leagues and people are kind of going, "Oh, wait, is he available?" Or it's the super flex thing that's why he's going so much sooner.
Yeah. I think the big thing for me is if he's going to play week 1, to our point, like he's worthy as a QB2. I think in best ball now he's back on the table, and I think you got an opportunity to grab him now at a discount before he starts to rise even further. So yeah, I'm in.
Do you think he's going to keep rising though?
A little bit. I mean, I don't think he's going to go bananas, but like he's almost was like undraftable before, and now he's looking like he's worthy of someone to roster. Like I wasn't even targeting him before, thinking he was only going to play 8 games, and now if he's going to play 16 games or more, great. Knowing that he won't be effective probably until
they got A-Rich who's been eating horse. Forget Wildcat Warren. You got A-Rich there. It looks like he's gigantic now. It looks like a superhero. He still can't throw.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on then now to our next. That's enough Daniel Jones talk. Jesus.
Jesus.
Let's move on to our next guy here, Jordan Mason, and we're going to talk about the Minnesota backfield in general here. And we'll get over to Aaron Jones here in a minute. But our last riser, Jordan Mason, seeing the bump up across Yahoo, ESPN, and Underdog. Abe, take it away.
Yeah, he's going to go hand in hand, obviously, with Aaron Jones. This talk, they are, it's kind of, how do you want to say this? Pick your poison, I guess. I mean, obviously, fantasy footballers, they're saying, yeah, that's a great pick, right? I like those guys, and they're saying you're going with Jordan Mason as a 10th round pick. That's a good pick. He's going to be the lead back, right? Obviously, he's going to be that guy. But as we'll get to Aaron Jones in a second, and we're talking them as kind of one in the same 1A, 1B. It's really what you feel is best. I think Jordan Mason can, and real quick, remember, whoever the quarterback is there, right? They're going to want to run the ball first. Yep. That's an obvious thing, right? They should be a better offense there. And he's going to be the starter. Now, again, going back to game script, right? Like, what's happening there? Are they going to have to keep running? Because Aaron Jones, and if you can go to Aaron Jones real quick, Turner, you'll see kind of what we're talking about there with him is he's going to kind of be the change of pace guy, right? Here's my favorite quote, though, of the week. It was Chris Harris's podcast. I have Aaron Jones 38, Jordan Mason at 41, and Damon Claiborne can go pounce. It's the funniest thing ever. So this goes back to what I was talking before about them kind of being 1A, 1B, pick your poison. I think that Aaron Jones kind of flipping to this where he's going down and Jordan Mason's going up. I think the pundits kind of feel that Jordan Mason's going up because he is the lead back, right? He's going to have the goal line opportunities, obviously. He's the bigger back. He's the younger back, right? But at the same time, Aaron Jones can catch the ball, right? He comes out of the backfield. Dynamic guy. If he's healthy, he can be pretty dynamic. For me personally, in the 10th round, right? Here's are the other guys that are available, because these guys are literally within 7 to 8 picks of each other, right now on Underdog, on Yahoo, on all the big platforms, right? And at the same time, other guys that are being drafted in that round is Rachaad White that we talked about last week. Okay. He's coming out. You also have, Charbonnet, right? Who I get, he's injured. You have Bill from the Washington Foreskins that we talked about before. Good old Bill, right? He's a 10th round guy. And then if you're a guy that is, you're somebody that's drafted, say, Bijan Robinson, or you've drafted, Jeremiah Love, that's a whole nother conversation. You got Tyler Algier and Brian Robinson there. Guaranteed somebody's going to fuck that up in somebody's draft somewhere this year, right? Which B Robinson did you get for Atlanta, right?
Can't wait to put up for auction.
Wait. Yeah, exactly. So that's not confusing at all. But those guys are all available at the same time, right, as these guys are in around the 10th round. I'm more of an Aaron Jones guy. I like him better. He's a change of pace guy. As he's just going to be he's the third down back. Third down backs are always going to, chunk up yards. It's a PPR league you're playing in, right? All those things. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm with you. I've been more on Aaron Jones's side. I actually have him ranked probably too aggressively high right now. I've got him pretty far ahead of Mason in my own rankings.
Okay.
And it's interesting because ETR established the run. I know Evan Silva on there is pretty much saying Aaron Jones is dead, and he's a big Mason guy. Mm-hmm. You look at the splits when they were both healthy. Aaron Jones is getting 60%, of the snaps, and to your point, he's getting all the receiving work. And so if they're splitting, if it gets to this point where it's like last year where they're splitting carries, and then 100% basically of the third down work is going to Aaron Jones, I want Aaron Jones as long as he can stay healthy, which is a big if.
Well, I think also at the same time, though, if he's not the first, if he's not the primary back, right, he's going to stay healthy because he's not getting banged up running between the tackles.
Yep.
All those things you're worried about with a running back, right? Especially an older running back.
Yeah.
So I think, and he can also spell Mason as well. So I don't have Aaron Jones as high as you, but if I'm coming down between the two of them, I'm taking Aaron Jones over Jordan Mason.
Yep. Yep. I'm with you. I like it. Hate agreeing with you, but I like it. All right.
Asshole.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong then. All right, let's move on to our next faller, and that is Travis. Do you want me to call him Etienne or Etienne, as they say in Francais, or in the
captain now?
Yeah. So Travis Etienne, I was going to call him Etienne. He's fallen quite a bit here across all platforms. And I think the thing we got to remember is obviously he's had a lot of touches in 2 of the last 3 seasons, so 290 touches. So he's in that kind of workhorse category. He obviously had a phenomenal season last year. The year before was devastating if you drafted him. Like he was the worst player draft pick of the year. Prior to that, he was good for half the season, and then in the second half he was terrible. He obviously got the big deal with New Orleans. It's exciting. It's a high pace of play environment with one of the Affleck brothers. What's it? But they're in a nice offense there with the Saints. I forget his name. He always reminds me of Casey Affleck. And then this quote from Fantasy Football Today. This is probably the main reason is Kamara got signed to a deal. Basically, they were going to restructure his contract. He's going to be with the team. He's a good receiver. And so he's probably going to be on the field, which means, where Etienne made his money catching passes, that's probably going to cap his ceiling. So I've struggled with drafting Etienne all year. Like, he's obviously RB2 territory. Like, I would not feel good as my RB1. If I look at him at his draft cost, you're in the range of Bucky Irving, Cam Scatterboo, or DeAndre Swift. And to me, I'd much rather have Scatterboo, whatever you want to say his name, or even DeAndre Swift, who I think is criminally undervalued, over Etienne. But that's my view. And after reading these, I don't have a sway one or the other. I can see why he's going down. It's probably a bit overblown. So if he continues to fall, I think he's going to be a better value than what he's been going for sure. I mean, obviously the ESPN price is more tantalizing there, as you're getting him in the 4th round versus the 3rd. So your thoughts?
I think you hit the nail on the head a second ago, which is it's kind of blown out of proportion a little bit with Kamara coming back. Okay, yeah, I see it, but and Kamara is one of the great running backs in fantasy that we've had in the last 20 years, right? I mean, that's awesome, but at the same time, he was great. I just think with Etienne, I think people are sleeping a little bit. I think they're getting a little scared of just the chipmunk news, Alvin the chipmunk.
Yeah,
and I think, but at the same time, there's also those people out there like myself who drafted Etienne 2 years ago and got burned heavily. Way burned.
Oh my God.
And then last year he was great value. And I think if he's going down in some of these home leagues and you're a sharp and you know what you're doing, okay, maybe you snatch him up later on. Maybe people are going, okay, he's a great RB2. Let's put it that way. I think he's a fantastic guy at RB2 for sure. So I agree with you. I just think a lot of the data coming out there, a lot of the news coming out there has got people scared a little bit. And I just don't get it, because I'd still take him, where he's going now.
Yeah, I'm still having a hard time. You sound like you're higher than him on me. I'm going to keep waiting for this discount. But let's talk about our next faller here, because he's in an even murkier situation here with Jakobi Meyers.
Very murky. But here's the thing about Jakobi Meyers. And Fantasy Pros talked about this, and I thought this was very telling. Okay. So as I said, Jaguars' last 2 games, who led the team in route runs and catches and targets? Jakobi Meyers. Who did the Jaguars trade for last year when they needed a wide receiver help? Jakobi Meyers. And who did they extend? Jakobi Meyers. And who immediately signed a contract extension? Jakobi Meyers. And who took basically 0 time to establish chemistry with Trevor Lawrence? Jakobi Meyers. So it's not Brian Thomas, as they said. It's Jakobi Meyers. I think that this guy potentially, now I kind of want his value to go down a little bit more. Here's why. Okay. He is going right around into the 9th, beginning of 10th round, right in that zone. Okay. And here's a couple names going to throw out to you, Turner, that are all around the same area. Okay. Johnson, obviously Q Johnson, the Q from San Diego, right? Jordan Addison, Michael Pittman, my favorite Packer, Jaden Reed. They're all kind of going in and around the same time. I still like those guys better than him. But if he's now coming down, and let's say you're grabbing him as a wide receiver 4, right, and say round 11, I think that's value, even round 12. So it's kind of like, because here's the thing about Jacksonville. It feels like every year it's kind of like wide receiver by committee. Parker Washington's that guy, right, for a while, and then it's Jakobi Meyers. And, he opens their offense up a lot, I think, Jakobi Meyers does. And again, he did establish chemistry with Trevor Lawrence. So I like the idea of him being value later on in a draft, but I think it's good that his ADP is going down. Here's what I'm saying is, we're talking about risers and fallers. I'm agreeing with the fall, but I'm not agreeing with the fall of him being a bad player. I'm just agreeing with the fall that you might be able to get some value there. Thoughts?
Yeah. He's just the most boring player to draft. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Right. Like, right. But out of the Jaguars wide receivers, I feel he's the safest pick you can make there. So if you want in on him, I think his floor is great. And to the points made by, the fantasy pros here, like he was good. He came in there and he helped right the ship there. To your point here with Huge, like I probably would rather have Huge just because of Justin Herbert, and the big play potential, like, right?
Agreed.
Huge, and or Jordan Addison. Like, to me, I think Jordan Addison is just a better player, even though he's a knucklehead. Agreed. And then if Kyler Murray's going to be there, I get a little bit more excited about Addison. So that's probably why people like me are avoiding. He just, if I have to, I'll pick him and, be okay with it, because I know I'm going to get something. Like, if roster construction kind of dictates how you feel about these players. So It's like one of those things where if I need some stability at a wide receiver 3 type position, and I went heavy in onesie positions and running back, then throw Jakobi in my team. And I think at his value right now, you're just like, whatever, I can toss him to the waiver wire and not feel bad about it at any point if I'm not in a best ball league.
Yeah, he's kind of the thing about him is he's kind of like a roster clogger sometimes. So it's like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. It's like, all right, do I keep him on here? He's a guy, it feels like he's getting picked up off the waiver wire and dropped off the waiver wire and picked up. He's that guy, right?
Yeah.
And he is boring. But again, at the same time, he is the safest play, I think, in Jacksonville. I don't like any of the Jacksonville receivers personally. Like, I don't. I think they're all streamers, if that makes sense, right?
Well,
it's like, you're just like whoever's going to be good that day.
Yeah, I think someone's going to pay off. I just don't know. Like, people are very high on Parker Washington. I don't know if I'm there. BTJ had the monster season with Mac Jones. We don't know if he'll ever get it together with Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. And honestly, Travis Hunter's probably their best receiver. We don't know how much he's going to play. I probably end up taking him more times than not because he costs nothing. Like, I can get him at the end of the draft or waiver wire.
Yeah.
And if he is actually playing significant offensive snaps, I'm going to love it. If not, I can throw him away. So
what you're saying is Trevor Lawrence sucks as a quarterback.
Well, I think there's just a lot of mouths to feed, and he's not good enough to, this isn't like epic, Peyton Manning and Patrick Mahomes years, 50 touchdowns is going to happen. So like, I feel like, to me, it's Jakobi Meyers as your safe bet, Parker Washington and maybe BTJ with more upside, and Trevor Hunter as your who gives a shit dart throw because he's probably the best talent on the team.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Let's move on then to our next faller and our last Denver Bronco. You're welcome.
Harvey.
Yeah. RJ Harvey. All right. So he's moved down in ESPN and Yahoo, actually moved up a bit in Underdog where he is. And then in Sleeper, I don't know if there's something wrong with the ADP there, because that's a very nice 69. But like, there's no way I'm taking him that high.
Right.
Even 86 seems high. So I thought this quote from Flock Fantasy, who does a lot of best ball, like an epic amount of best ball. He's big on a Harvey over Blake Corum. And then we've got JJ Zacharyson and guests on the Late Round Fantasy podcast. And I thought this was good. So, the formula that he uses or that they've examined, historically yields good results is second-year running backs in ambiguous backfields that catch passes. And RJ Harvey was that. Now, he was super underwhelmed, I think, for most people when Dobbins got hurt and very ineffective on the ground. But he does catch passes. That's a big deal for Sean Payton's offense. He, and when I reviewed his stats down the tail end of the year, fantasy points wise, I would have been happy with it, but eye test wise, I didn't see it personally. Like, again, he wasn't very efficient. Now they've got, who they draft? Jonah Coleman on that team, who is a pass catcher too. And I think the problem with Harvey, it's going to be the same as last year, is Dobbins is going to come out, get the lion's share. You're going to have to pray that he gets hurt.
Which he will.
Yeah. He does. But
sorry, I didn't mean to put that in the universe. Yeah, sorry, J.K. Dobbins' family.
But like, so he's going to be a bench clogger for a bit. And so you know, again, at his draft price, I don't think you need to worry about it. It's like you're forced to start him, maybe at 69 or even 86. I have more concerns, but in the Yahoo and obviously in the ESPN draft value, that's kind of like a no-brainer. Your thoughts on RJ Harvey? I know you owned him last year in our league.
Yeah. I did have him. He did save my hide, so a little bit at the end there. I like RJ Harvey, but again, I don't think. I also had J.K. Dobbins on that team as well, and it was kind of like, okay, which one?
Lock it up.
Yeah, just to make sure. I was kind of like almost they're handcuffing each other. I like RJ Harvey, but at the same time, you hit the nail on the head. I think the one word I'd have to describe him is inefficient, as you said, right? He's not, that's him in a nutshell. Yeah. Does he have explosive plays? Sure. Right. But it's like, he might have an explosive play and then you watch the eyeball test going back to that. And then he goes backwards, 3 plays in a row or whatever. Right. It just kind of feels like that when I see him play. So I'm fine with him where he is, in Yahoo. I mean, ESPN feels like it's a little too low, right? Yeah. I am not fine with him being the 70th guy taken off the board, though, in sleeper. That feels a little weird, right? And underdog. But yeah, I mean, again, I kind of agree with you there. Not much else there.
Yeah, I think it's hard for me, like at that draft, like if I'm faced with Jonathan Brooks or RJ Harvey, I'm taking Jonathan Brooks.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right. Take us home with a fellow Arizonian here in Michael Wilson.
My base camp is Arizona, folks. I'm in the Phoenix area where it is today a balmy, cool 117 degrees outside. Yay for me. Yeah, exactly. But let's talk about Michael Wilson. Look, here's the thing about Michael Wilson, right? Mazda Marvin, as we're going to call him, not Maserati, he's the Mazda, right? Reports here locally, folks, are that he can't catch the ball right now. I think that this is why we kind of had him last on here. In my opinion, I think he's really undervalued. Not really undervalued, but I think he's undervalued. Yes, Marvin Harrison's the X receiver, all those things. But here's the biggest thing, and the fantasy headliners kind of hit the nail on the head here, which is, the new coach is obviously coming over from the Rams and understands the Puka role, right? What we talked about before. Michael Wilson's the Joker, right? He's the Joker in this offense, and they're going to move him around. And I think by moving him around, obviously Marvin Harrison, as they're saying here with fantasy football today, he's Arizona's number one in theory, which I think is a huge thing in theory. But, Michael Wilson's going to compete for that role. And him and Jakobi Brissett have a bromance going, right? When Harrison was out last year, Wilson was their number one guy. I mean, he was a league winner for some folks, right?
Oh, yeah.
So, he was
a revelation, dude. Like he was amazing.
It was crazy.
Waiver wire pickup of the year. Yeah.
And here's a couple of guys that are going anywhere from 10 to 20 spots higher than him, right? Marvin Harrison, I'm not touching him. It's 20 spots higher than him in Yahoo, okay, right now. Alec Pierce is 19 spots. Alex Pierce is on the PUP list right now, right? So he's dead, and people are still taking him above Michael Wilson.
They say he's coming back. We'll see. Yeah.
But whatever. But you get what I'm saying. Like you're gonna spend. He's an injured player, and you got Brian Thomas, who's about going back to the Jacksonville thing. He's about 10 to 15 spots higher than him too, as well. So I like Michael Wilson better than all those players. Okay, am I going to make him my wide receiver 2? No, but if he's my wide receiver 3, I'm pretty happy, right? I would be very happy having him there, rotating out with a lot of, potential there. He's going to have a high floor. And Brissett is back. And again, Harrison's not catching the ball. And if you look, again, I'm very high on this guy, but that's just me. Thoughts?
You're super high, I think.
Yeah. So high.
So yeah, with Wilson, like to your point, undeniably caught fire last year. And so that's tantalizing on the old taste buds here. Mm-hmm. I've been in, so all the best ball drafts I'm doing, he's one of my targets. He's given his, 97 or even later when I've been drafting ADP and underdog, like I am game, like as a wide receiver 4, 3, if I went heavy again on other positions, like I love it. I think he's worth that shot. Obviously no guarantees. The biggest issue I have with Wilson, and it's probably like more so for best ball than it is for home leagues and redraft and managed, I should say, more so, is that at some point we're going to get a Carson back. And so when you're in the playoffs, does he do anything? Like you're rookie quarterback sustaining multiple, valuable receivers, and that includes McBride, just isn't a thing. And I don't think a lot of people are high on Carson Beck. Now, I personally like Carson Beck. I think has talent. I just don't know coming out of the gate in relief on a very terrible team like the Cardinals is going to do anything. And so that's, best ball wise, even though I've been taking him quite a bit because his cost is cheap, it does like, you kind of hope for the early season value. And then when Carson Beck comes in, you're praying that he is Dak Prescott, and doing something like that. So that's my thing. But I definitely think he's valuable. I think he's, to your point, competing for number one.
Sure.
That's just, my 2 cents with Wilson. Like I can see the mixed trepidation. I could probably see him rising, especially after the reports that you're talking about with, Mazda Marv duck-handing a bunch of catches.
Yeah. You do make a fair point though about the Carson Beck experience, right? I do not like Carson Beck at all. I am not. I've never been. I always thought the guy was we all watch a lot of college football. I'm just not on that train. So I'd rather have Jakobi Brissett than Carson Beck as my quarterback.
Oh yeah.
I get it. Right. Like I get that, they got to do something, and that team's a dumpster fire. You make a good point though. It's kind of like, well, are you putting any Arizona players in
Jeremiah Love?
Playoffs, right?
Jeremiah McBride Jeremiah Love and McBride are definitely like, I think good.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Of course. McBride, obviously, side note, I think Jeremiah Love is going a little too high in drafts, but that's just me. I just, Arizona can't like they stink, right? So you need an offensive line to run the ball. All I'm going to say is look what happened to, Genty a couple of years ago. It was super high in Genty. Was that? Oh yeah. Last year. I can't even remember. I'm like,
you got on your space. You got your time travel machine.
Right.
Guess what, guys?
Guess what? I'm like, oh yeah. Wait, is this his third season? Yeah.
Abe has the sports almanac.
Yeah. Oh man, wouldn't it be nice to have that? Speaking of twif Bannon.
Yeah.
You make a fair point with Beck, but again, I go back and I'm just not a big fan of Marvin Harrison. I'm just not. I think that he might be a bust. I hate to say that, but for what he was drafted at, it's kind of crazy. Rough. Yeah.
All right, everyone. That is going to wrap up our 5 risers and 5 fallers on this week's ADP movers. Come check us out every week. We're going to be doing this for the rest of the draft season.
Nice.
So Foghorn, it's been a pleasure. Everyone who's watching this, love for you to come check out the twif website. All these snippets of analyst conversations, they're all there attached to the players for you to research. You want to dive deep on any other players, it's all there. We've got all the ADP measurements as well. all the stats available at your fingertips. And we've got just some awesome draft tools for planning your draft and for giving you live draft advice when you're on the clock with Yahoo, Sleeper, My Fantasy League, and ESPN coming very, very soon, all for free on the site.
Nice. Later, douchebags.
See ya.